The arena pulsed with 1,000 heartbeats, a roaring tide of screams and spotlights that crashed over me as I stood frozen in the crowd. My wife, Lila, was up there on stage, her silhouette swaying in the arms of Julian Voss, the rock god she'd worshipped for a decade. His voice, a velvet blade, had just crooned her name through the microphone, pulling her from the front row like a siren's call. Her laughter sparkled under the strobe lights, her hands trembling as they rested on his shoulders. I watched, a smile plastered on my face, my chest tight with something I couldn't name. Pride, maybe, or the first splinter of dread. Then, as the song ended and the crowd erupted, Lila didn't return to me. She vanished into the wings with him, and the stage lights dimmed to black. The air in the arena was thick with sweat and perfume, the kind of electric haze that clung to your skin. I stood rooted in the sea of strangers, their cheers fading into a dull hum as my eyes darted to the stage's edge. She'd be back any second, I told myself. She was just starstruck, caught in the moment. Lila had spent years collecting Julian's vinyls, memorizing every lyric, her face glowing whenever his music filled our apartment. This was her dream, wasn't it? To dance with him, to feel that fleeting connection? My fingers tightened around the plastic cup of overpriced beer, the cold biting into my palm. The stage crew bustled, resetting for the next song, but Lila was nowhere. I pushed through the crowd, my heart thudding unevenly, and found a security guard near the barricade. My wife, I said, my voice sharper than I meant. She went backstage with Julian Voss. Where is she? The guard, a hulking man with a bored expression, shrugged. VIPs go through there, he said, nodding toward a shadowed hallway. Wait till the show's over. I opened my mouth to argue, but his radio crackled, and he turned away, dismissing me. The unease in my gut twisted harder, like a wire pulling taut. Back at my spot, I scanned the crowd, half expecting to see Lila's familiar cascade of dark curls. My phone buzzed, her name on the screen. Relief flooded me, but the text was curt. Meet me at the car after the show. Having the time of my life. No hearts, no exclamation points. Just words that felt oddly flat, like a stranger had typed them. I stared at the message, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Something was wrong. Lila's texts were always effusive, peppered with emojis, especially after a night like this. I typed, "Where are you?" and waited. No response. The band launched into their next song, Julian's voice soaring, but it sounded hollow now, like a taunt. The concert dragged on, each minute stretching into eternity. My mind churned, replaying the moment she'd climbed onto the stage. Had her smile been too bright? Her touch on his arm too lingering? I shook my head, disgusted with myself. This was Lila, my Lila, who'd cried in my arms when her father died, who burned pancakes every Sunday but laughed it off, who loved me with a fierceness I never doubted. Or hadn't until now. The doubt crept in like damp rot, slow and insidious. I remembered her late-night phone calls last month, the ones she'd taken in the bathroom with the door shut, claiming it was her sister. The way she'd started wearing perfume again, a scent I didn't recognize. Small things easily explained, but now they loomed jagged and sharp. When the show ended, I shoved through the exiting crowd to the parking lot, my breath fogging in the chilly night air. Our beat-up sedan sat under a flickering street lamp, but Lila wasn't there. I called her phone, straight to voicemail. Her voice, bright and recorded, promised to call back soon. My stomach lurched. I leaned against the car, the metal cold against my back, and tried to piece it together. Maybe she was still backstage, caught up in some VIP meet and greet. Maybe Julian had invited her for a drink, and she'd lost track of time. But the image of her hand on his shoulder burned in my mind, her eyes locked on his like I didn't exist. I drove home alone, the radio silent. Our apartment felt wrong without her. Too quiet, the air stale with the scent of her lavender candles. Her purse was gone, her phone charger still plugged into the wall. I sat on the couch, staring at the framed photo of us from our honeymoon. Her head thrown back in laughter as I kissed her cheek. The memory felt like a lie now, fragile as glass. I opened my phone again, scrolling through her texts. Nothing new. Then I noticed her Instagram was open, a notification blinking. A story she'd posted an hour ago. A blurry shot of a dimly lit room. Julian's guitar propped against a wall. And her caption. Living a dream. My throat tightened. I clicked through her followers, landing on Julian's verified account. His latest story showed a hotel bar, a woman's hand holding a glass of wine. Her nails painted the same crimson as Lila's. Sleep never came that night. I paced, my thoughts a tangle of fear and fury. By morning, I was hollow, my eyes gritty as I dialed her number again. Voicemail. I called her sister, her best friend. No one had heard from her. The police were useless, saying she hadn't been missing long enough to file a report. She's probably just caught up with friends, the officer said, his tone dismissive. I wanted to scream that Lila wasn't like that she wouldn't just vanish. But the words stuck in my throat, choked by the growing certainty that I didn't know her as well as I thought. Days bled into each other, each one heavier with silence. I checked her email, her social media, anything for a clue. Then, on the third day, I found it. A folded receipt in her jacket pocket, tucked away like a secret. A hotel bar, 2 drinks, dated the night of the concert. The name matched the one in Julian's Instagram story. My hands shook as I Googled his tour schedule. He'd left town the next morning, his band's private jet headed to Chicago. I called the hotel. My voice steady despite the storm inside me. The clerk confirmed a woman matching Lila's description had been there, laughing with a man in a leather jacket. They'd left together, arm in arm. The truth hit like a physical blow, knocking the air from my lungs. Lila hadn't been taken. She'd chosen to go. The woman who'd promised me forever had walked away with a stranger, her idol, leaving me to drown in questions. Had she planned this? Had our life, our love, been a lie? I sank to the floor, the receipt crumpling in my fist. Anger surged, hot and blinding, but beneath it was something worse. Grief raw and jagged, for the woman I thought I knew. I drove to the hotel, desperate for answers, though I wasn't sure what I'd do with them. The bar was nearly empty, the bartender wiping down the counter with a bored expression. I showed him Lila's photo, my voice cracking as I asked if he'd seen her. He squinted, then nodded. Yeah, with that singer guy. They were cozy, man. Left after a couple drinks. His words were a knife, twisting deeper. I asked if she'd seemed happy and he shrugged. Looked like she was where she wanted to be. Back home. I found a note tucked inside her favorite book, one I hadn't noticed before. Her handwriting hurried but clear. I'm sorry, Ben. I need to know who I am without you. No explanation, no goodbye. Just those words, slicing through 10 years of memories. I sat there, the note trembling in my hands, and saw her face again, dancing with him, her eyes alight with something I'd never given her. Not fear, not coercion, but freedom. The twist came weeks later, when a friend sent me a grainy video from a Chicago club. There was Lila, on stage again, singing backup for Julian's band, her voice soaring, her face radiant. She wasn't coming back. The betrayal wasn't just her leaving. It was that she'd found a version of herself I'd never known, one that didn't need me. I stared at the screen, my heart a hollow drum, and realized the life I'd clung to was gone long before she disappeared.